Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where I try to demystify tech trends every single day and understand how they might be able to help businesses overcome real-world challenges. And today, I want to talk about embedded finance, which is set to radically transform digital businesses and create a new benchmark for customer experiences across multiple industries. And recent news that the embedded finance market is going to be predicted to be worth $138 billion by 2026, according to Juniper Research, certainly got my attention. And in the near future, embedded finance is expected to enable digital businesses to serve SMEs and micro entrepreneurs all over the world, and essentially helping them sell their core offering and create diversified revenue streams, all by embedding everything from payments, insurance and lending and other financial services, all under the banner of their existing brand. So in the coming years, innovative businesses could possibly start adopting embedded finances much quicker than we might expect to overcome those perennial challenges around handling payments across geographies and currencies and different regulatory zones. And the end result should be the ability to offer a Fintech as a service to help clients implement financial services into their own business models. So this is a topic that fascinated me and something that I didn't know too much about until today's conversation. So with the scene set, buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to California to speak with Frederick Crosby from NEOM onto the podcast. And we're going to talk about all this and the world's first payment infrastructure in one API. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
So I'm Frederick Crosby. I am the Chief Revenue Officer here at NEOM, a global payments infrastructure for B2B. I'm in charge of sales and marketing. I have been in cross-border tech for a long time. In fact, I'm calling myself now the godfather of cross-border tech. But it just hit me. I can never find anyone who's done this longer than me. I keep looking. People have been doing cross-border payments since almost the age of man. But when it comes into technology, I started in 2004 at PayPal, which was just this little company just acquired by eBay at the time and kind of showed the light on what cross-border could do there. Moved over to Western Union at the end of that to help the cross-border company go digital. And then following that, went over to Veeam to help SMEs go to cross-border digital. And then now here at NEOM. So I just can't get out of this space. I love it.
Oh, man, what a great story. And before we dive straight into Godfather Part 2, I've got to ask, what was your origin story? Can you remember where that passion for technology came from and what put you on this path?
Well, I was raised in Mountain View, California at a time, and you can see with the gray hairs, I'm actually, I don't know if I'm older than Silicon Valley, but we're about the same age. Yeah. And you just got raised in this passion of tech. I mean, my early memories of this company called Hewlett Packard, which was completely breaking the rules. And suddenly Apple was born and they were breaking the rules again. And Google was born and everyone kept breaking the damn rules and doing really cool stuff. And it just becomes part of your DNA. It's all you ever talk about out here is like, what's the latest, greatest, who's changing things, who's doing new stuff. And then I guess the combination into the cross-border part of that tech is I've always had a passion for international stuff. I mean, I travel. I've been to almost 60 countries already. I've worked for international companies since my first day out of college. I've come from a diverse family of, my mom was from Peru, my dad from Wyoming, but traveled all the world around the world in the Navy. It was just a magic combination of global mindset to tech at the same point.
Wow, man. And that path, of course, led you to NEOM, but for me, it was the Twitter headline, the world's payment infrastructure in one API, that really caught my attention. But for people that are listening and hearing about you guys for the first time, could you just introduce the listeners to what it is and the kind of problems that you solve with your technology?
Yeah. So look, I think the backdrop is this. The world particularly during this crazy pandemic times, really went both online, and by going online, the world also went digital and global at the same time. What does that mean? Like if you are in whatever country around the world, you get more dependent on online services, goods, all the rest. Following that, people kind of realized, like, well, if that's the case, I could reach new consumers everywhere around the world, not just in my own regional market. So the world went more global. And when the world went online and they could get access to new markets, suddenly everyone saw the business opportunities. We could do more than we ever could have before by expanding there. And at the same point, supply chains and vendors were more into need. Like we all living through the supply chain problem right now of trying to find goods. Everyone had to kind of go more global there at the same time. Well, that's complicated to do. A lot of businesses don't know how to expand globally, don't know about payments and capabilities. Do they want cards or banks or e-wallets? We make it simple. What we are in a whole and what the world's payment infrastructure and API translates into, however you want to pay or get paid around the world, we make it easy. Like you just integrate into us. We do all the hard work of integration into 40 bank partners, all of our 11 licenses around the world to make delivery and acceptance of funds a snap. Like 60% of our payments due to our infrastructure can be delivered in real time, which is a huge, huge upgrade from what people were facing pre-pandemic in trying to make money move. So that's the core to our success. We do all the hard work on the ground, bring it up through an API, and allow people to integrate right into whatever they need to make payments happen.
And there's so much talk at the moment about embedded finance being set to radically transform digital businesses and create this new benchmark for customer experience across multiple industries right now. And I think it was Juniper Research that said that embedded finance market will actually be worth around $138 billion by 2026. But for people listening that are outside of this industry, can you just set the scene and tell the listeners a little bit more about exactly what embedded finance is and where NEOM fits into this?
Yeah, it is exciting transitioning going on in the world where it used to be there was the merchant and there was the payment, and these could not coexist. You did everything, you marketed, you got your customer, you brought them in through your process. And then right when they were going to do something interesting with the payment, you go, oh, sorry, that's not me. I'm going to send it over to this payment company. They have a separate brand. They have a separate flow. They do everything on their own. And they'll tell me whether you paid or not. Well, that's a really discombobulated type of experience, right? The consumer, be the or business person, has to deal with multiple people. They're not quite sure what's happening. You don't know whether your customer dropped off or not. You don't know whether the payment got there unless it's been done through some other kind of integration. Why not just embed it into your own platform? Why don't you just have all the payments be you? And prior to what's been happening with embedded finance, it was impossible to do that. Payment companies wanted to be branded. Payment companies say, no, you send them my way and they'll know it's me. Companies don't have to do that anymore. All merchants can be fintechs. There's a famous line out there saying everyone's going to be a fintech. It's true. Everyone who wants to offer their customers virtual accounts around the world so that they could act like a local can do that now. Anyone who wants to pay their customers or clients, so when they issue payments into e-wallets, can now do that instantly. You want to issue cards to your clients, you could do that. It's your brand. That's the embedded part of it, right? It's your brand. It's your experience. And a company like NEOM just sits in the background making it all happen. NEOM's not a name that you're ever going to see on a card or on your receipt. We're just the facilitators out there because that's where the money is.
And we are at that time of the year where everyone's starting to think about 2022, what's going to be different, how we can adapt and evolve with the changing landscape, etc. So on that side of things, can you tell me a little bit more about how in the coming years, fast-moving businesses will adopt embedded finance to overcome perennial challenges? Because there's a lot of scope for change here, isn't there, in the coming years?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things. I think this global revolution I had talked about is just starting. Like a lot of companies and a lot of major companies that we're talking to right now, who would you think have already thought out their global payment strategy, are just getting to work. They're suddenly realizing that we have to bring everything we got around the world, because it's no longer a case of everything being based in the UK and Europe having the right to global dominance. There are companies that compete with these companies all around the world. I don't care whether it's being a global contractor platform, whether it's a ride sharing platform, food delivery. Everyone is going from one country to another. So this dominate the world strategy has to be on top of everyone's mind, because if you don't do it, your competitor from afar is going to come into your territory before you have a chance to expand into theirs. I think the second thing that's developing, you can't even talk about evolution, developing, and change without bringing up the word crypto. Right? Yeah. Crypto has to be on everyone's mind. 2021 was the year of crypto talk. 2022 will be the year of crypto action. We've seen it get broken through to the mainstream. We see companies like PayPal and Robinhood offer it. Well, why should the branded payment companies be the only ones that could offer these kind of services? Through embedded finance, other companies who want to serve clients and their payment needs could also be offering these too. It's not this dirty word anymore. There's compliance rules set to accept it. There's good business to be made if you offer it on a platform. We're really excited because we just announced at Money 2020 that we offer this as an embedded finance service as well. Look for that change to be also one of the big trademarks of 2022.
And we're recording this conversation immediately after Thanksgiving. And I'm kind of curious, as a Brit, has crypto entered the Thanksgiving table as a conversation start? I mean, you'd have been you're in a tech household, aren't you? So I would imagine it has. But have you seen changes there?
It's a generational thing, right?
Yeah.
I sit right at the precipitous. I have my older brother is like, what is this crazy talk? But now they know what it is. They didn't even hear about it before. All my nieces and nephews and it's common talk for them, which is why business needs to change. So yes, it has to come up. It is something where in past years, I don't think it was really brought up at the dinner table, more like a side discussion with my nephews and I. But it is always a dominant part of any conversation in this last part of the year.
And I recently, just to put into perspective here, the scale of what we're talking about, I recently read that NEOM announced it had raised over $200 million in Series D funding and also become the first global B2B payments unicorn from Southeast Asia. I mean, can you expand on that? It sounds incredible when you put that all together into a sentence, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it just shows we really got the right offering for people out there right now.
Yeah.
This company changed quick. It changed really quick. I've only been here a little over a year, and we were just over 200 people then. And I thought then, like, wow, pretty large company. Well, we're over 700 employees now. We had been dabbling mainly in Asia with a little bit of Europe then. Europe is our largest revenue earning market, and the US is growing rapidly. There's a lot of needs to be had. When you build this kind of infrastructure we have, and you're not relying on partners and partners and partners to kind of make your delivery happen. When you've done the work and built out the network, the world comes knocking at your door. So we're very excited about all the partners we're working with. We're working with financial institutions, fintech platforms, what I call decentralized economies, which are gig workers or marketplaces, anywhere where you have to serve a very dispersed universe, and travel companies. Everyone's got this need. And now that the attention's out there, you talked about the expanding world of embedded finance. It's really easy to have people come to you with these needs, which is helping our growth, which is helping our valuation and attracting more people wanting to invest behind this to really make it happen.
And of course, there's also the recent strategic partnership with Weaver. I mean, what does that mean for your business and more importantly, your customers?
I love this Weaver example because it really illustrates the power of everything we can do. So we built, as we mentioned, this connection to the world, and we brought out the APIs. What you do with it is up to you. Weaver takes us the next step, right? So with our licenses, with our connections to banks, with our capabilities, KYC tools and such, Weaver has built this layer to make it more accessible to business, kind of a drag and drop type of philosophy, where their platform allows other people to go into this world and not only relieve them of the payment burden, but really kind of even the developer burden, the trying to figure out how to make it and piece it all together from a platform perspective. So we're really excited about this opportunity to work with Weaver and help them create businesses. So it's almost like combined, we could reach even a larger market for people to easily get on board and offer fintech solutions for their customers.
And I'm curious, from everything that you're seeing now and hearing from the conversations with your customers to what you're seeing in your news feeds and Silicon Valley, are there any particular tech trends that excite you in the industry right now?
I think there's a few. One is this fascination with real time. As a godfather of cross-border tech, I remember when we were happy when we can make cross-border payments happen bank to bank in 2 to 3 days. It's okay, yeah, pretty good. It's gone. It's got to happen now, right? It's got to happen. I send something, it's got to get into another market. It's got to get to their means as fast as possible. Now, certain type of tools have been out there to help with that. That's how cards got very excited, issuing cards, because people could have cards. We could issue to a card instantly. They could use it as utility. But two other things have happened. One, the explosion of e-wallets around the world. I think, again, accelerated through the pandemic and the need for online shopping and people to go online. Alipay is a great example in China. There's a variety of different wallets in Africa and Latin America, and everybody gets very used to these. And connecting to those places to send money in real time is getting very popular. And banks don't want to be left behind. The changes happening at a national level around the world to have everyone's national banking infrastructure in real time is causing a revolution, which is allowing them to compete with all this modern technology. The UK and Europe were some of the first ones to really introduce it with SEPA and fast payments in the UK to really make payments happen quick. It's happening across Asia. And even the fuddy-duddy US is finally getting along and moving along, so we don't have to wait 3 days for a check to settle and all this other archaic Old West type of stuff. It's also happening in real time. So payments is just going to go whizzing around like crazy, and you better be integrated to the right platform to allow that to happen. I think the other big thing that is exciting is this whole philosophy, again, and kudos to the UK and Europe for starting open banking. This idea that information sharing is allowing people to pull all the information from the right people at the right time, connected with different licenses like ours, to make payments happen without a lot of other inputs. The offerings that are going to be coming to consumers from these kind of combinations are not only going to be fast, but very contextually rich, so that they have more things that they can do with their money than they could before.
And as for you guys, what's next for Neum? Is there anything you can share about the road ahead, what you're going to be focusing on and where you're going to be as part of these trends?
Yeah, well, you hire a CRO in the US. It's kind of indicative to more focus here in the Americas. So we're really happy to be finding new customers out here and expanding at the rate we are, both in North and South America. Big ripe opportunity. It's obvious when you're sitting here, of course it is. But for a company that started in APAC, moved to Europe, this is like a big chapter for us. Our offerings and our technology and our platform continue to evolve. Both from a regional expansion of offerings, but also in the capabilities. I mentioned crypto as a service earlier today. There'll be other offerings that people are going to want out there related to how they want their money held, moved, invested in. We'll be doing a lot more in that area to make sure that when you're looking for a partner for embedded finance, we can offer you everything that you need anywhere around the world.
Well, we started our conversation today in this podcast talking about your origin story. We'll put you on this path. I now want to finish by having a bit of fun with you and ask you, what was the soundtrack to your journey in Korea? I'm kind of curious if the godfather of cross-border tech is going to choose the godfather of soul or not, but I don't want to lead you down any direction.
I don't want people to have that when I walk into the room in the back of their head. When I say, hey, it's only business, I want people to go, yeah, great. Not like, oh my gosh. No, for me, I'm going to go really old school on you, like really, really old school on you, because this has been my head since I was in high school, and it continues to kind of drive me today. Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. You can't slow down. You got to keep moving. You're never too old for change, because when you live in tech, when you live in this global world, change is going to keep happening. So don't let your feet get still. Baby, we're born to run.
Oh, man, what an amazing tune that is, especially the live version as well. It gets no better than that.
Yeah, wow. Seen it 5 times.
Yeah. I've only seen him 3, but we've got a couple of Bruce fans here. But before I let you go, for anyone wanting to find out more information about NEOM, what's the best way of finding you guys online, contacting your team? What's the best starting point?
Well, come to neom.com. First, there you can find everything we do, a little more detail, our countries and coverage. And of course, there's an easy connect button where we'll set you up with somebody in your part of the world, offering you more insights to any of the products that we have. For those developers out there, we also have easy access to our API suite, so you can take a peek and learn a little bit more about how we operate.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I, for one, have learned a lot about embedded finance, how it's going to radically transform digital businesses and creating this new benchmark for customer experiences across multiple industries. But more than anything, your very human story and a great song to boot to, which I'll add to the Spotify playlist. But thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Neil. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
I learned so much today about the trend towards embedded fintech and, of course, how the NEOM platform enables banks, payment providers, travel companies and other businesses to collect and disperse funds in local currencies in over 100 different countries. And the fact that NEOM has raised $200 million in Series D funding and becoming the first B2B payments unicorn from South Asia, combined with the Juniper Research advising that embedded finance market will be worth $138 billion by 2026, is food for thought indeed. Some big numbers there. But over to you. Please send your messages, thoughts, insights, questions, whatever they may be, to techblogwriter@outlook.com. You get me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn at Neil C. Hughes. And if you do have a moment, please leave a review on wherever you listen to this podcast, because it really does help the podcast in the battle against those dreaded algorithms. Other than that, I'll meet you all here, same time, same place tomorrow. So a big thank you for listening and for accompanying me on this crazy journey we've got. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.